talk about this trunks wig. I started with a lace front base wig, and then I hand ventilated in the slight widow's peak here in the front, and I squared out the sides. Ventilating is the process of adding hairs to a very fine piece of mesh, and the hairs are added 1 to 3 hairs at a time using a tiny hook that can create a very realistic looking hairline. I then undercut the back of this wig by layering the hair. This is a standard capped wig at the back, so when undercutting you can't really go shorter than the distance between 2 wefts or the wig cap is going to show. This undercut goes right up to around here, and a common mistake I've seen amongst cosplayers, specifically when it comes to curtain styles like this, is to put the disconnect between the undercut and the top part of the hair. They tend to put it at the tips of where the ends of the longer hair sit, so about here. But if you have a gander at most men and they're short back and sides, you'll see that the disconnect tends to sit quite a lot higher up here. That's important because if you put your disconnect down here, you end up with too much volume in these top layers, and it will sort of sit away from the face rather than curving around the shape of the face. The top of my wig is padded out with layers of fire retardant batting, and I heated this batting with a heat gun. It's a very moldable material, it's really lightweight, but please use the fire retardant stuff if you're going to be using heat sources around it. I did airbrush my wadding once I'd attached it, but you can stipple it with a sponge or use spray paint or a paintbrush if you want to. It's all going to work. The point is to change the colour because it usually comes in white so that it is invisible beneath the wig fibres. And then for these upper sections of hair, I then glued hair in rows onto that batting, in rows like boom, 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 working my way up. I did 3 or 4 rows. And this front section here is also glue set to keep it really strong and stable. My glues of choice, this Yoo-hoo glue here, which comes in a tube like this. It comes out clear, dries clear. It's sort of gel-like consistency. I also use this stuff, which is twist and glue. This is a lot more watery, it also dries clear. I used the Yoo-hoo in the tube for gluing down the tips of hair, and then I use this for brushing through the hair to make sure this is secure. You can see how it's not moving beneath my finger, so it's not going to get displaced during wear. It's great stuff. I find it really rarely discolours wig fibres as long as it's brushed through. The brushing is important because it keeps the fibres separated into a hair texture. If you smoosh it down with your fingers while it's drying, then the finish tends to get too smooth. We want to glue it down so that it's secure, but we don't want it to look glued. It still has to look like hair. Trunks' curtains sit around eye level, but they often have the illusion of looking longer because of all this lift up here creating this height. I graded the ends of my hair while I was cutting, and by that I mean I added lots of small layers into the edge rather than just blunt cutting around. It creates this lovely graded shape. I also use my steamer to renature and add a little lift and shape into the plastic fibres. You'll see how it curves around. Thanks for watching.